Welcome to the show today. Thanks for joining us. As always, our show topics come from you, your ideas, your feedback, and suggestions, both online at CourtneyAnderson.com. And when I talk to you after I've come to your company to give some corporate training, or you've come to hear a speech or a keynote. So thank you, and keep sending in those fantastic ideas. Today, of course, our topic is diversity management. Subtitled, Equality for Everyone. So beautiful. It sort of brings to mind a utopian vision of a beautiful world where we join hands and we sing Kumbaya. Touches my heart. Let's talk a little bit about it today. Join me. As many of you know, diversity is one of those topics that when people hear about they're going to have a diversity training or go to mandatory diversity seminars, I know, I can see it in their faces, how excited they are. I know that many of you, when you hear this topic and you think back to your own meetings or online trainings or handbooks and manuals that you've read, the memory just sort of, it's titillating. Because who doesn't get excited about equality for everyone? It just sounds so beautiful. It's a wonderful, wonderful idea. And then there's reality. Now, I have 3 areas that I focus on as a professional. And those 3 areas are, 1, what I can and cannot do. What I can and cannot do. And for that, we look to one area. There's an amazing area that will help us understand what I can and cannot do. And the reason this is an amazing area is because all of the rules for what I can and cannot do are written down. They are literally written down in books that when you're maybe a little bored or maybe a little lonely, like I usually am on Saturday night. You can go read those books. You can go read those books and read all of the rules of what you can and cannot do. That is the wonderful area of the legal system, law. Law tells me what I can and cannot do. And as I've been fortunate enough to be a practicing attorney for over the last 12 years, I have a good grasp on what I can and cannot do when it comes to this area. So that's the first thing. The second thing that we like to look at in my practice is what I should and shouldn't do. It's one thing to tell me what I can and cannot do, but what about what I should do? That's where we talk about our business and business management. And sometimes we talk a little bit about ethics, what I should and shouldn't do. So we've got a baseline. The baseline is what I can and cannot do. It's written down. It tells me I cannot transport cocaine. Cannot. Above that, it tells me what I should and shouldn't do, okay? And then the third thing that we focus on in my practice is, why do I do what I do? Why do I do what I do? Most of us understand what I can and cannot do. We have a reasonable grasp of what I should and shouldn't do. That's the area of business leadership, business management. And then we have that little bit on top, where sometimes I know what I can and can't do, I know what I should and shouldn't do, and still I find myself doing things. And that's the question of, why do I do what I do? Why do I do what I do? I had a situation where, when we look at these types of issues, there was a manager. The manager was talking to someone who was asking about a potential promotion. The manager basically said, look, you're too old. Old people don't learn new things. You should just be happy where you are. What you can and cannot do, that's the law. What you should and shouldn't do, that's business management and ethics. And then, why do I do what I do? Why would somebody tell someone to their face, you're too old? That's the area of personal empowerment. Why do I do what I do? That's the personal empowerment and the psychology piece of it. So those are my 3 focuses. can and cannot do, law. Shouldn't do, business. And why do I do what I do? That's the personal empowerment piece and the psychology. So our concept today is pretty easy. Equality for everyone. That sounds easy. It sounds so easy. Let's start with the beginning. What I can and cannot do, law. It is written down. It is written down. It says everybody equal treatment. That's what it says. And just to make sure everybody remembers, we all know this from our training. The law is called the Civil Rights Act of 1964, specifically Title VII. Let's go read that. And it specifically talks about everyone has to be treated fairly. And it gives some protected groups. And it specifically says, if you're in this group, nobody can make a decision about hiring or firing or promotions or demotions or assigning a parking space or giving a new comfy office chair. It says it in there. We can go read it. 1964 Civil Rights Act, Title VII. And it lays out a couple of protected groups. Just so we remember, this is, of course, U.S.-based law. For the protected groups are race, color, gender, national origin, and religion. That's what it says. It's written down there. Those words are in there. It says everybody's race, equal treatment for all races. For all races. It says equal treatment for all colors. For all colors. Now, race and color, those are not the same things. Those are not the same things. Those are not the same things. And may he rest in peace. But I've always gotten the question over the years. People say, what about someone like Mr. Michael Jackson? He was one color, and then he became a different color. Does this law protect him? And what's the answer? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It doesn't matter if you start off one color, you become a different color, maybe you're multiple colors. It does not matter. This law protects you. All races, all colors. All national origins. National origin is the country that you're from, your national origin. I was born in Germany, okay? I'm an American citizen, all right? My national origin, you can't discriminate against me, okay? Gender, all genders, okay? And we do have people who are intersexed. Everyone, equal protection. Race, color, gender, national origin, and the big one, religion. I was working in a Midwestern state with a hotel chain a couple years ago. And I'm there to do some business training and some evaluation of their organization. And one of the things that was brought up to me by the HR manager was that once a week during the workday, after everybody, that was an hourly worker had clocked in, they were on their shift, they would have weekly Bible study. Right there, very convenient in the hotel. So everyone, they're on the job already. They don't have to go anywhere. Just right there in a conference room. And everybody would come together and they would have Bible study. And it was convenient and it was effective because basically everybody was told, since they were at work, that they had to come to Bible study. And the HR manager was sort of sharing that this was a kind of a very efficient thing to do. And as one of the tenets of my practice is pragmatism. I love efficiency. There was one little problem. There's just one little problem. I expressed to this HR professional that we have what we can and cannot do, right? Law, written down. And I explained that it's written down in this 1964 law, that religions, that's one of the groups, okay, all equally protected. So that would mean all Christian religions, of course. So whether someone is Baptist or Methodist, even if someone was Catholic, someone was a Mormon, any religion, denomination, but also other religions. So if someone, for instance, was Buddhist or Muslim or Wiccan or a pagan or an atheist, all of these groups equally. And so I had a suggestion. It was a really simple, I thought, pragmatic suggestion. I said, well, if your company is kind enough, which is extremely kind, to give people spiritual time on the clock, I mean, they're paying them for that, which is a very kind thing to do. The only little thing I said is that you have to let all religions have it. You just can't only have, Bible study. And then she looked at me, and she was a very nice lady, and she said, but it's not denominational. Everybody come. And I said, well, I understand that, but by picking the Bible, then you kind of are restricting it a little bit to people who, that's their faith. I said, as long as you let every group have that same time or, facilities, then that's fine. So if the Buddhist employees want to have time to focus on their practice and their faith, if your Muslim employees do, if your Jewish employees do, then that's fine. Well, I thought I was being helpful. And as everyone who worked with me and over the years, that one of the things I pride myself on is I like to be honest with people. I don't tell you what you want to hear. I don't even tell you what I wish was true. I tell you to the best of my ability what the reality on the ground is. So this situation had to be adjusted or it was in violation of federal law. And this HR professional got so angry with me. I mean, I really thought she was going to cry. I mean, her face got red and she got very upset. And she said, so if there were people who, worship Satan, they'd have to be allowed to? And I said, yes. It's either everybody or nobody. Which is why most companies just do nobody, at work so that everybody can do that after work, do their spiritual time. And equality for everyone is a beautiful ideal. I think the equality part, most people agree with. Most people, oh yeah, I want it equal. Like you wouldn't want to get out on the freeway and have one speed limit for men and a sign that says men, 87 miles per hour. And then another sign right there that says women, 43 miles per hour. People would be mad. People say, that's not equal. That's not fair. You can't just because of gender say the men get to go fast, the women have to drive slow. Even if some politician said, look, everybody knows women are bad drivers. So to help that, we're going to let them drive slow. Let the more confident men go faster. People would be outraged. It's not equal for everybody. So when you look on the freeway, they have one sign. It says speed limit, and then there'll be a number. But that's for everybody. That's for good drivers and bad drivers. That's for men and for women. It's for everybody. So it's the everyone part that I've seen people get kind of caught on a little bit. I think people like equality because it sounds good. It's the for everyone part that we seem to have some challenge. The base of this discussion is it's written in the law that in the United States, and to be very fair, in every other country I've worked on 5 continents, there's a similar type of law. Workplace equality, equal hiring, firing, demotions, promotions. Okay. We have a couple of challenges with the everyone part. One of the ones that I most frequently hear is this. A manager will come to me and they'll say, oh, Courtney, I am trying so hard to follow that law, that 1964 Civil Rights Act. And they'll say, but Courtney, I have a team member. This was, I believe this was in the Southwest. The manager said, I have a team member. And she has a little bottle that she's always reaching into her desk and drinking from. And when I go near her, she smells like she's drunk. She smells like alcohol. And her eyes are blurry. I said, really? I said, yeah. I said, that's not professional. We need to do something about that. Documentation, discipline, coaching, maybe termination. And then the managers say to me, but Courtney, I can't do anything. I can't do anything because she is a 65-year-old Asian woman in a wheelchair. I can't do anything. I can't do anything. This law is forcing me to have these people at work, whether they're drunk, whether they even come into work at all. I have to share this one. A few years ago, had a client call me and tell me this long story, but the basis of the story was that this executive was in a different state than this office, the satellite office location. The executive had been sort of calling in to check on the satellite office. There was a person in charge of the satellite office, we'll call her Mary Smith. Mary Smith's in charge of the satellite office. Well, the executive had been calling and checking in for the last couple of months, and every time the executive called and said, can I talk to Mary? One of the other team members said, oh, Mary's at lunch, or you just missed her. She ran to the copy store. So finally, the executive goes to the satellite office location and finds out, I thought this was lovely, finds out that the manager, Mary Smith, had literally been in rehab for like 4 months. Hadn't been at the office at all. And that everybody had been lying and covering for her. Wow. And it was, I believe, I don't know if it was a substance abuse or a sexual addiction rehab. I don't remember which one. It's good to go to rehab. We support that. The challenge is you can't lie at work and have people say that you're there when you've really been gone for months. And then what I hear from professionals and HR and managers, and they say, look, this equality for everyone, I have it written right here. Equality for everyone, it requires us. We can't fire people who are drunk or don't come to work. We can't document or discipline somebody because they might say it's because I'm Jewish, or it's because I'm African American, or it's because I'm 71. So we can't do anything. We're just stuck, absolutely stuck. Now I've heard that all over. So it's not unusual. The challenge is, though, it doesn't fit within what the law says or with any sort of business pragmatism. The federal government would not write a law that says you have to have people work for you who do not do their jobs. And you cannot make them do their jobs. You cannot make them come to work at all. You cannot make them come to work sober. You cannot make them do any tasks. Because if they have a race, a color, a gender, a national origin, or a religion, nothing you can do. The law does not say that. Let's do it again. The law does not say that. The law, all it says is that you can't have discrimination where you blatantly tell someone because of these groups they can't work there, like put a sign at the front of your business that says no blacks allowed. That's not allowed. That used to be perfectly fine. After this law, you can't do that. The other thing is you can't have that type of discrimination. That's called disparate treatment. Disparate treatment is where you literally say, if you're Jewish, can't work here. If you're African American, can't work here. Okay, you're not allowed to do that. You're supposed to say, this job requires a high school education. This job requires you to type so many words per minute. This job requires you to have the ability to lift 30 pounds. Like when I used to be a waitress in a fast food restaurant. They were allowed to ask me, could I lift things? Okay, could I carry things? Because that's what I was doing. I was carrying food, I was lifting things. At the end of the shift, I was cleaning the bathrooms and washing dishes and cleaning the toilets. It's the everyone part that people get stuck on. So in our show, if nothing else, I want you to understand, one, the law protects everybody equally. Every person watching this, equal protection. All of us, because we all have some sort of race or color. We all have some gender identity. We all were born somewhere on planet Earth. That's national origin. And we all have some sort of religion. That also includes people who are not religious at all. Everybody's covered in all the groups. The catch is, when we go to apply it in real life, people get so confused and so overwhelmed. And the easy thing, okay, what I should and shouldn't do, right? So we have what I can and cannot do, law, and what I should and shouldn't do, business. And I've got an easy solution. All you have to do at work is ask yourself, does this, okay, this issue have anything to do with their job? Okay? If it's part of their job, you need to go ahead and deal with it as a manager. If it's not part of their job, and where would you figure that out? Every job should have a job description. Okay? And you should have an employee handbook or manual. The job description will tell you. So if the job description says, this position of administrative aide is allowed to drink 3 hours a day liquor at their desk. Okay, if it says it on the job description, then it's perfectly okay, okay? So then you say, oh, okay, well, let me just monitor that and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to, because it says here they're supposed to be drinking liquor. If the job description doesn't say anything about coming to work drunk, guess what? Now we have an issue. We have a work issue. And we need to discipline the person because they're not able to do their job duties because they're drunk. You just focus on the job because that's what people can control. People can control whether they're at work on time. They can control whether or not they're doing their job. They can control whether or not they're stealing from coworkers. And you focus on the things that they can control. The things that they can't control, like their national origin, religion, race, color, that's why we don't focus on those, because it's not in their power. They can't control it. Equality for everyone. Really simple. It's written down in law, so you can go read it. What you should and shouldn't do, it's easy. You focus on the job. If it's part of the job, you go ahead and manage it. If they're not supposed to be doing it, I've had a lot of situations. I had a person who was at work and they were working at a factory, and they said they didn't like to be at work if it was rainy outside, and it was raining. So they asked if they could leave early their shift, and the manager said no. And then the person went and punched the boss in the face. Okay, that's not in your job description. Okay, she needed to be terminated. You're not supposed to beat up people at work. Okay, even if she was 65, even if she was Asian, even if she was Jewish, yes. Equality for everyone means you have the rules written down in the law, you have the rules written down in the job description and employee handbook and the manual, and then you just go ahead and follow them and you treat everybody the same, just like that speed limit on the freeway. It's 55 for everybody. I want to thank you for joining us again today. Come to CourtneyAnderson.com, share your ideas and your feedback. As always, these are tough issues. We try to handle a lot in each show, and we'll continue to do future shows on this. Thank you again for watching and joining us.